In the end, we only will be transformed when we recognize and accept the fact that there is a will within each of us. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Champion Reads. We wanted to continue the conversation today about 10x is easier than 2x, an incredible book. I've got it here with me. If you've got your copy, hold it up. We are here live on our recording featuring Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. This has been a great conversation. And also just want to mention, we've got a full studio today, which is even more exciting to discuss some of these topics because we've got executive producers, Mr. Ian Sturmer in the house, William Blake, myself, John Kovacs Jr., joining us, as well as Miss Lauren Cobb from our executive team over at Champion Circle. And we also have a featured guest joining us today in studio with Ian Sturmer today, Livia. And Livia, I want to make sure I say your last name correct. Is it Pewtress or did I get it right? Okay. Or I was going to say something fancy. I was going to put like an accent on it and be like Pewtress or something funny. Just, I don't know. We get weird when we turn the recording button on. But I just want to welcome you. Before we start though, Livia, tell us just a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you do? And yeah, how about we'll start with there?
Yeah, awesome. So I'm Livia. I'm in Utah in Davis County. I have 5 kids, 1 husband, and I love being an entrepreneur. I have been since the beginning of forever. Photography, graphic design. I teach wellness classes with essential oils. And in the end, it all comes down to I am a confidence creation and consecration coach. So I help you figure out why you're here, be core and true to who you are, connect to God and say, okay, this is what I'm here to do. This is how I align my mind and my heart and my body. And then I have the tech to support that and all the tools along the way to help you break through whatever might be stuck in the way of actually doing what you're called to do.
We're excited and honored to have you on our show today with us to discuss. That's amazing. And we know that your background and also just who you are is going to be an incredible addition to our conversations today. So thank you. And Ian, thank you for bringing a friend today. We are going to be discussing this book right here. 10x is easier than 2x. And you guys know the format. We're going to just jump right on in. And, we've covered quite a bit about this book. And I think we're going to just really dive deep into the last part of the book, the second section, which are really all about applications. The different practical applications in this book, which I have to admit, when I first read this book, or when William gave me this book, I was like frustrated. I was like, the first section, man, I can't. I don't know if I'm going to finish this. Like I've read so many books like it. I like the theories. I like the ideas. I like the concept. But as soon as we got into part 2 of the book, I was like, oh my gosh, this book is amazing. There's so many great applications. And I regretted my first statements. And there's a lot of great power in here. But let me ask the question to the group, because maybe we can start here. From reading this book, what are some practical applications that you're gaining as you have read it, or as you're learning based on what you've read and what you feel like you're going to do? Because we've understood, right? We've understood and we've realized that 10x is a life commitment. It's a complete transformation in how you behave and how you think. So what are some practical applications you're going to take away from the book? Who would like to start?
I'll jump in with that. For me, the first practical application is not doing the stuff that's not important. Cut away the things that I don't need. the things that I think I have to do for my business that aren't actually growing the business. They're not actually running the business. I was thinking that term running, and I pictured a hamster running on a wheel. And I feel like that's how I run my business, instead of overseeing what's happening and guiding and directing. So getting off the wheel and guiding instead of just running all the time is my first application for it.
I like that. What it's done for me is to dial down on the choices that I have and the directions that I need to go. When I first went through this book, I thought in my life that I wanted to make 100K in a year. And there are so many ways that you can do that. And then it wasn't until I 10x that goal and said, I want to make $1 million in a year. And when I did that, there were only like 2 or 3 things I could actually think of that could get me there. And it's just crazy to think about that when you just stick with 2x, stick with like the next step and don't look any further, there are so many options that you can do. But when you actually 10x your goals and what you're going to do, it becomes easier. Not because the workload is necessarily easier, which it is in some cases, but more it's easier because there's less choices to choose from.
You know, like you, Willie, I've had this idea while reading so many books every year that I wanted to build something that took less effort but was better results. And just one of the things that I really want to apply after reading this book and moving forward is building a self-managing company. Like for me, I know what that looks like when I close my eyes and envision it. I know what it looks like, what it seems like, and it's all about putting all of the right systems and operations in order. It's getting things in the right place so that the responsibilities and roles continue to flow. And that's something that I really can't wait to dive into. It's something I'm excited about, and I really am diving deeper into that concept for myself. So building a self-managing company.
I love that. My big thing that I've been thinking over with it is quality, but faster, right? Like, so it's cutting out all those little unnecessary things, but it will overall be better quality because I'm not wasting my time on all the little unnecessary things that I get caught up in, you know. It's like half the steps really don't have to be there. I'll get greater results if I don't focus on those and choose the ones that really matter. So making it quality.
Go ahead, guys.
There, unmute. Sorry. I'll add on there, if we can activate like our mindset and the emotional side of it and 10x that way, that even the same amount of effort, if our mind is in the right place, if our intention is clear, if our heart is pure, then what we do in the same amount of time, even the same action that we would have done before, the result is going to be so much better because we're internally aligned with what it is that we're creating, which I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to add something onto that. Our opening quote was, "Inside each of us is a will." And as important as that is, and especially have a will here as well, is inside each of us a want. Is because want power is so much stronger than willpower. So if you truly want something, you have that desire, you'll take those actions to do it. So having the mindset that this is what I want, and I'm going to give up everything that's not part of it. Like that Michelangelo example where he took away everything that wasn't David in his statue. If our desire and want is strong enough, then the willpower will be there, and we will want to do what I'm running out of steam on that example. If we want it enough, the desire is going to be there, and it will be more intense, more focused.
Well, I think too, if we have the purpose behind it, if we know why you're wanting something, that makes the hugest difference because you have that core, like the deeper level of why you want it. And then also just adding on to that, I'm really big on conscious language and like what you say and what you think. And so even going from willing to wanting to I'm choosing to, I've decided that I'm going to, that I am doing this and I am doing this now in the next 10 minutes, in the next hour, and then strategies that work for you to set it up with your personality style, with the way that you function in the world, with any challenges that you might have, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, putting a alert on your phone that says, don't look at me right now. I have a screensaver on my phone and it says focus time. So I can put it on my screen, like in the images, and then I can lock it on that screen. So if I'm like, oh, I want to get distracted, and it says, wait, you're in work time right now. Don't go there. And it's just little things that you can do that help you to be more productive and maximize the time that you have. So you can maximize your productivity and being present with the people that you love when you're present. Like, do your business when you're with your business. Be your family 100% when you're with your family.
I should jump in one more idea with that too. Being that.
Go ahead.
So often I do things because I think I'm supposed to do them. And I just spend all this time doing stuff that I think, oh, I have a business, so I should go and do this. Even though it's not actually productive. It's not actually my core, my passion. So cut out those kind of things.
Yeah, I like. Oh, you're going.
I'll quickly jump in, Willie, and then I'll share. I'll point it back over to you. I just wanted to add a little bit there. Is that there's oftentimes a quote or a soundbite that we're familiar with, but they don't ever finish the quote. Like it's just little pieces of quotes. Like for example, people know the quote. And I don't really remember the end of it, but just for example, there's the jack of all trades is a master of none. Well, that's not what the real meaning of that quote is. There's an actual finishing line that implies that, but a jack of all trades is oftentimes better than a master of one. But anyways, there's a quote I've always finished for myself, and it's, if there's a will, there's a way. But if there's a desire, get out of my way. So there you go. That's all I wanted to share. Go ahead, Willie.
I love that. If there's a will, there's a way. If there's a desire, it's even stronger. And if there's a Willie, watch out. The world's going to explode. No. One thing that it reminded me of when you guys were talking is the quote that said that 98% commitment is a blessing, but 100% commitment is a miracle. And it's funny that just a little bit more effort is the difference between just a simple blessing and a miracle happening. And I think that works well with 10X and what we've been talking about and the desire when we start and go forward, because it's just simply that. It's not much more effort that we need to put in. It's just redirecting what we're putting our effort into.
I'm going to jump on that one. You said the 98 versus the 100%. And if you think of that in the scriptural terms, it says, have faith and only believe, but do not doubt. And so that 2% is that doubt. And if you hold on to that doubt, then you're actually stopping the miracle, because we're said, asking you shall receive. So if you're asking and you're expecting to receive 100%, this is happening like in God's time, whatever that looks like, then you're good because it's going to come. But if you hold on to that doubt, what you're actually asking for is it to be delayed. So it's up to us on what we want to ask based upon our language and what we choose to think and believe.
I love that. And I'll quickly jump in here. I know there's a little bit of a lag between us, but I appreciate all of the comments so far. And I want to build off of what Livia said, because a key word in that for me is what you said earlier, and that's alignment. And alignment is so powerful. When you are in alignment with the vision or the end result, you can create systems or an operation. You can create anything that can bring the result to fruition. I believe it was the great and late Mr. I don't know if it's late. Stephen R. Covey, still alive. Stephen R. Covey, who said, begin with the end in mind. He's not okay. But in this book, we have a quote here by Tim Ferriss, who's someone I tend to study a lot as well. And he says, as soon as I remove myself as a bottleneck in my business, profits increased by 40%. What on earth do you do when you no longer have work as an excuse to be hyperactive and avoid the big questions? Be terrified and hold on. Oh, there's a bad word in there. And that's Tim Ferriss style, with both hands apparently. But really it's what you said. It's all about alignment. And oftentimes entrepreneurs think that they have to do the work because that's the entrepreneurial spirit. But a true entrepreneur, the one that has the mind strength to create things that operate because they put the right people in the right place, that's important. And I just think that's a value principle. What were you going to add, Lauren?
Yeah, I just kind of have an example of that this week. My husband and I both own together a graphic and media design company, and he's the designer, he's the artist. I have my own thing, but I don't do that part of our business. I love doing the back end stuff. And we had a client reaching out yesterday they're having problems with Bluehost, who's hosting their website, and Bluehost has kind of been going downhill for a while now. So he's always on the back end trying to fix things and correct links for them because they also have a storefront on there. And this is their busy time of the year. So anyway, she emailed Ty at like 6 a.m. yesterday and was like, Bluehost is at it again. I'm having problems. Our sale is supposed to be coming up next week. Like, how do we fix this? And the bottom line of it is that she needs to get better hosting, right? Like, and we've approached it. We have other companies we work with, but they've wanted to try to save some money doing it this way. So my husband, he's great at what he does. He was just in a hurry yesterday, and instead of being like, oh, Lauren usually responds to this type of stuff, he just sent a quick email and was like, oh, talk to James. He's the guy I sent you information for before, And so she replied back and was like, yeah, but I'm wondering, do I have to pay yearly or is there monthly? Like all these little questions. And so I just texted him. I was like, hey, I'll take care of it. Like, you focus on what you got to do. And so I started up the three-way thread with James, who owns the hosting company and all this different stuff. And I was like, hey, she's needing this, gave all the details. But it reminded me talking about this of putting the people in the right place so that you get the results you need, right? Like, my husband was trying to be helpful. He was, responding to her email to him. And in the meantime, it just kind of like, she was like, what the heck? Like that, reach out to James. That wasn't very helpful. Like if you're providing this service, you should know more information. I was like, nope, I got it, and she was fine. Like, we've known her for a few years, but it's just a reminder to both of us that he's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. I just responded to her email. I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, let me do it. You do you, and we got it done really quickly. And so once I stepped in where my role was, and it's just a testament to where you put the right people in, you do get those results quicker. Our customer service goes better. He doesn't have to focus on, the little things. He can just jump in and get the work done, work on the websites and do all that stuff. So just one way that we try to 10x it is
not sure what happened there, but continue that thought.
Oh, did it cut out on me?
Yeah, looks like we were all removed, but we're back in the studio and it's still live.
Okay, where did it stop? I don't know.
Just about 20 seconds ago.
Oh. It's just like trying to 10x it. We're able to do that better with the correct people in the roles and sticking to our roles. And so it's just a great reminder for us this week.
Yeah, good reminder.
Yeah,
I have a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Billy.
Oh, go ahead and give your thought. I have a question for everyone, but I want people to give their thoughts before I ask it.
Okay, I was just going to say, Henry Ford's greatest contribution, we think now, is the idea of division of labor. And if you've got somebody who knows the customer service side, you've got somebody who knows the back end, you've got outside people, like you mentioned, James, to bring in. You're there to coordinate those pieces. you can coordinate it without having to do everything yourself. So what can you farm out to somebody else? What can you get an expert here, an expert here, an expert here, and not have to be the expert in everything? Even our greatest inventor of modern times, Thomas Edison, had a team of hundreds, if not thousands, of people inventing things that he got all the credit for. That part aside, we have all these things because he was there to manage all of these experts that could do the work. So
nice. Wait,
Oh,
I'm gonna add
sure,
on to
yes.
that. No, you're good. You're good. On the side of like utilizing what we have to maximize our time and our efforts. So I was introduced about 3 years ago to this amazing software, and it will help automate everything. Because I know for me, a lot of it was I want to help people, but I don't want anybody to fall between the cracks. And I want to physically be there to help every single person. And it's just not possible because we're all limited to how much time we have, and we want to be with our families and not just always in our businesses. But being able to put that in place where I can automate and have emails and voicemails and text messages go out, and I can have unlimited contacts, and I can have people come in and team members, and they can join in and, you know, answer and reply and all those type of things. And so it's been really cool to see how that happens. And it's step by step. I'm going to go God on you again for a minute. How I do this with the 10X is when I partner with God and I think, hey, you know more than I do. I might have a 2X view. He has a 10X view of everything. He knows my strengths. He knows my weaknesses. He knows everything that I have inside of me and everything that I'm called to do. So if I say, this is what I'm struggling with, what do you want? He'll be like, here it is. You know, go talk to this person. Here's the tech you need, whatever. Anyway, so I ended up partnering with the tech company because I help my clients with it all the time. So if you guys have anybody, you know, in your network that needs that, you know, automation setups, doesn't want to pay hosting fees for their website because it's free. Once they join, they don't have hosting fees ever. And you can blog and you can website. You can do all the things, but be able to have it in a way that you can set it up once and it just runs. You can send the text message to 1,000 people at one time. Then just, you know, automate the response and get them on your calendar so you can spend your time one-on-one with people like this, where you're actually communicating with a human versus, are you available Tuesday at 3? You know, oh wait, how about Friday at 1? You know, and it takes so much of our time and our mental bandwidth when we can make that part systematized so that we can keep the human element in our business and really help people feel loved and supported in customer service, like Lauren said.
Yeah, I want to just jump in. Part of that too, having the tools really helps you to 10X. So I love useless historical trivia, but there was an invention that was marketed as liberating the modern woman. Anyone know what that was offhand?
Washing machine?
Yes, the washing machine. That liberated the modern woman because instead of spending 4 hours a day going down to the creek and washing by hand, you could put it in a machine and go do something else. Probably more than anything else in modern life, that 10X.
And make the man do it.
Yeah. That's the next step, is you oversee the man doing it.
But I'd rather do the laundry than skin the deer. So we'll
yeah.
I think that's fun too. I don't know. I just don't want to haul it off the mountain, but I'll go skin it.
It's okay. You skin the deer and I'll do the laundry.
You wouldn't want me to do both in the same day. It'll get a bit messy.
No.
But what I wanted to add before Willie asks a question is I love this concept. And what you brought up, Livia, is cool because it is about roles, responsibilities. It's all about who, right? And in this book, especially in this last section, a big practical application is focusing on the who's doing what, who's in charge of the roles that need to be done. Maybe the who is software, maybe the who is a person, maybe the who is you, but oftentimes you have to step back and look at that. And I love that you brought God into this, Livia, because first of all, there's power in knowing that there is an Almighty that knows our strengths. If you want to 10X that power, it's recognizing who you are, what your lineage is, where you come from, what child of God you are, and also when you do a deep dive, when you understand who you are as a person, what your strengths are, and you can be honest with yourself. I think I'm a great volleyball player, but on Tuesday, I will tell you guys, I did not play like a great volleyball player. So I have work to do. And so I got to know my strengths. I got to know my weaknesses. And when I identify that and I'm honest with myself, especially in my passion projects like my business, I have then taken a step closer to igniting or flipping the switch for a 10x business. And I just love that. So thank you for bringing that up. Willie, did you want to share a question?
Yeah, I'd love to share a question. And as we're getting close to the end, I want everyone to get what this whole thing is practical applications, and we've had such great discussions. My question is for each of you, and I'll share my example while you're thinking of it, is this: what part of your life have you 10x'd before that you love the results of now? So while you think of that question, I'll quickly say one of the things that I've 10x'd, and that is my passion for reading books. I used to be someone who read an average of one book a year, and by setting goals, by writing them down, by working through a bunch of different ways to get through with audio and reading during the night, a lot of sacrifice, I at the end of that year hit 50 books, which I was excited about because it started with the statistic of 95% of CEOs read 50 books a year. And so as I set that goal, I was able to reach it. But not only that, then I was able to go even further and make it a part of my life. And now I'm able to continuously read 60 plus books a year. And I love the result of it, because the result of it is my ability with God, with my friends, with my family, and with myself. I've just been able to find more peace and more direction because of that. And obviously, I love learning. Obviously, I love anyone who gives me a book to be able to read. But just knowing that something that is uncommon for a dyslexic to read so many books, it's amazing when I look back into the past and be like, I made that commitment and I achieved it. And the success part of it is I get to do it the rest of my life. So that's an example for myself, what 10x is. I'd love to hear from you guys as we're wrapping up everything. What was your 10x jump that you did, and what results came from it?
My typical response to that question is, the jump from athlete to entrepreneur is an easy one, because you every day you've got a 10x performance as an athlete in order to achieve your desired outcome. But truthfully, what's happened recently in my life is my critical communication. Oftentimes I would let the brain host all of the information, all of the details and everything without sharing, and it would drive me nuts and slow down production. But the more, as a leader, I critically communicate with the right people and I share with them the different roles and responsibilities and also just my expectations, a lot has changed in my life. And this is not just work, but also in personal relationships. The more I open up, the more I share what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, and what I thought versus what was reality, has really opened up opportunities for me. So 10x my critical communications.
I love that. And it just points out that this isn't something you get to pick and choose where you apply it. Once you learn it and you believe in it, that's how your life goes, right? It just becomes a part of you. And so I love that it's business and personal, because it kind of is the example of the mastermind. Once I was introduced to the masterminds through John, that changed the way that I ran our family, our household, my husband and I communicated. It was just mind blowing, So it's learning those and these awesome skills, it improves every area of our lives. But I wanted to say that I have 10x'd and changed some things up with running my household and chores and things like that, because my kids are getting older. Our oldest just turned 12. And I used to try to take all of that on, and I'd have them do, okay, you'll help me unload the dishwasher, you'll do this. But it just became so much on my plate, running a business, homeschooling, helping my kids, and taking care of the house. It was just like every day I wanted to just like burst, and I felt like I had no time to do anything else, like this type of stuff that I love and being with humans. But I have been able to do that with the help of my kids and giving them responsibility and teaching them as well. And so that is 10x to my time that I get to do other things as well, but we all still live happily together and have a clean house and dishes to eat off of and, a clean bathroom. But I don't have to do it all myself. And teaching my kids also how to do this type of stuff and 10x what we can do together is amazing.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can go. So mine would probably be my relationship with God. Because I felt like I was really, really strong in college. And then I feel like I had little kids and running around, and it was like scripture study fits in the corner if I didn't get there, and the house was chaos. And I just remember having a day back in 2011, and I was sitting there trying to read my scriptures, and I think I had a baby on my lap, and my kids were playing down at the floor. And I just looked, I was like, I wish I had that strength back that I had when I was in college, when I had 3 institute classes, and it was like awesome. And I want that back. And I was like, okay, so I just decided that God gets to be number one, more than my dishes, more than my clean floors, whatever it was. I'm like, this is number one. So if I'm cuddling with my kids, we read scriptures together. I stopped listening and reading anything that wasn't either gospel church related that would anchor me to Christ until I felt like I had that back. And it has changed everything, because I have the ability, like I will walk out the door and I'll be like, hey, what do I need to get that I forgot to get? And what do I need to take today that I didn't know I needed to take? I will pray before I drive out of my driveway every single day. Like anytime I go anywhere, I say a prayer before, and half the time in the middle of that prayer, I'll get a thought, oh, go grab that thing. Oh, bring this, take that, whatever. And then I'll get where I am. And that was maybe for me, maybe it was for someone else. It'll be turn and go on the other street and don't go there. Everything that I do in my business has that core to it. And I check in with everything. Like, this is what I think I want to do. What do you think? And sometimes it's a yes and sometimes it's a no. But it takes out that decision fatigue of there's so many options and there's so many voices that are all around me, and everybody has their claimed method that's going to take you to fame and whatever. Like, I don't even care about fame, but whatever that is, it's like you could follow all these methods. And even books, like it used to bug me like crazy. I'd be like, hey, I have this book. I want to finish the entire thing front to back. And then I'd be like, oh, and I'd feel bad because I didn't finish it. And I have 5 half-finished books on my nightstand. And then I was like, no, because if the Holy Ghost can bring anything to your remembrance, if it's in there, he can bring it to you. I'm like, so now I read a book, and if I feel like stopping, I stop halfway through. And if I feel like opening it and reading one page in the middle, then I read that one page. And I always like journal about things and insert how did God help me in my day. So I can pull any journal off of my calendar or off my phone or off my shelf at any point, open it to any page, and know that somewhere in there is something that I need. Sometimes it's a YouTube video that I did 10 years ago, or a recording, or something pops up in your Facebook memories. And it was like, why did I do that Facebook Live? I remember that day was hard. God told me to do that. And 7 years later, it shows up because I needed it. I'm like, it might have helped other people along the way, but it was for me that day too. And just trusting and knowing, like I wanted to do a podcast for years. And it was a year ago, October. I was at a retreat laying in my hammock, and I got the, okay, go now. I'm like, okay. So I whipped out my mic and I recorded 7 before I went home 2 days later, and we're on like 60 something now. And it was like, it's like, I just like, if you know that vision, that 10x vision, like you were talking about, your $1 million, whatever it is you want, if you know what that is that you want, and you hold to the vision, and then you stay in alignment, you stay connected, and you say, okay, what is it today? And do that step, even if it doesn't seem to make any sense whatsoever. It can be, hey, go make dinner for your neighbor, go talk to that kid a little bit longer, whatever it is. Just trust that that process will guide you to that North Star. I like to think of it as an arrow, a target. If you think of a target and you put your arrow in the bullseye, but instead of throwing it and hoping it hits, go put your arrow in the bullseye and then hold on to the string. And it doesn't matter how many roads it curves through and how many trees and how many boulders. If you hold on to that string, you're eventually going to get there.
I like that. I'm kind of going the same way, but a more worldly side of it. He talks a lot about who, not how. And I think my biggest 10X recently is partnering with someone with one side of my business. And we talk about a yoke of oxen and 2 oxen together, and 2 oxen with a yoke connecting and pulling is not twice the strength of 1 ox. It actually is about 10 times the strength of 1 ox with the 2 pulling together. And I've been able to partner with someone in one side of my business who is an absolute expert, has all the knowledge. And one thing that's done for me is I don't have to spend any time researching answers and figuring things out because he has that knowledge. I can focus on other aspects of the business. And that's freed up so much time, given me so much confidence in my abilities to do this because I have a partner with the full knowledge. And in the business side, that has helped me out. In a spiritual side, it's kind of the same thing. God has a little more knowledge than this guy even. But
he could bring you that guy.
Yeah.
He can help you find the partnership because sometimes we need humans.
Yep, I do. And just finding those partners that can fill in those spaces for us so we don't have the weaknesses and draw on the strengths of others because we don't have to know everything ourselves. So good question, Willie.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you guys for all your input, conversations, and just the incredible discussions we've had today. I love it. And I love that the topics grew legs of their own and took off. This has been very enriching and helpful. And as we close up today's episode, we just want to remind our listeners that if you would like to reach out to provide input or ask us questions here on the air, you can send us an email to info@mychampionscircle.com. That's info@mychampionscircle.com. We get a lot of questions, comments, and requests as we will be covering books every month this year, and we'll be doing an entirely new lineup of books next year. And all of that being said, too, we just want to thank you for being our listeners, for taking a look at some of these and enjoying the conversations that we provide. And then last, we just executive team, we care about you. We hope that you have an incredible year. As the holidays are coming up, we wish you happiness, joy, and safety. And we wanted to make sure that each of you also recognize the power within. We always like to end our episodes with a nice quote. And with the quote I leave, in take the action steps necessary, apply the discipline, and you'll see yourself definitely further than you were before. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Champion Reads, covering 10X is easier than 2X. Next schedule of an incredible conversation on James Clear's Atomic Habits. If you're a fan of habits and habit development, we can't wait to have you include in our conversations with that discussion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time on the Champion Reads podcast.